How to Prevent Obesity and Diabetes, a Case Study Part 1. Welcome to Be Fab, Be You Made Simple, your daily dose of inspiration designed to help you reinvent yourself by optimizing your body and mind. I am Maria Horstman, a health editor and coach, a fitness trainer, a speaker, and an entrepreneur, founder of BeFabBeYou.com. Our episodes are short and will bring you valuable content and practical nuggets for optimal health and fitness that you can implement ASAP. Let's get you to feel fabulous every day. Are you ready? Check out the show notes too. 1, schedule a free call with me to discuss a plan to take your health to the next level. 2, submit a question to be featured in our Ask Me Anything episodes on Sundays. Connect with me on social media and much more. Hit the subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, share with your friends and leave it a rating. Prevent Obesity and Diabetes, a case study. Today's episode is part 1 of this mini-series. It is for you if your family history, health history, isn't one you envy. And you do not want anything to do with it. Or maybe your family health history isn't that awful, but you find your health isn't where you would like to be. So if it is that you might have asked yourself, how do I prevent X, W, and Z? That prevention could be related to your obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, dementia, osteoporosis, you name it. Or like a former client of mine, he did not want to be on a wheelchair. If you're listening to this podcast, it is because you want to age beautifully and independently. You want to enjoy life right now and later as well. Most importantly, you want to do more of the things that you love to do that bring you happiness from inside out. Please say it with me. Amen to that. So a few weeks ago, I asked a few people in my network to share any burning questions that they had about health and wellness that I could answer on the podcast. So this friend of mine, who I was actually going to see in a few days, says, yeah, I got one. So let's call her Mary, just for the sake of it. That's not her true name, by the way. When I met Mary, she agreed to answer a few questions about her lifestyle and habits to give me perspective. So, maybe I could share more details on the show. And that makes, by the way, this episode richer, juicier, and a lot more significant. And ultimately, if her story resonates with you, let's talk, okay? Let's discuss a plan that will kind of change your path through a healthier you and to a more confident person and a version of you they're proud of. So don't hesitate to reach me and book a call. It is complimentary to you. So there are 2 things that emerged during this conversation. 1, I believe that Mary's habits and overall situation is a reality for many people out there. That's why I'm sharing as much details as I am here to follow. 2, brought this question to the surface: how to create a sense of urgency for change on people. So Mary's question was, how do I prevent obesity and diabetes considering my family history? She says that all her mom's sisters started to gain weight, to creep up on weight around her age. And she is in her late 40s. They are now 70s. Her aunts, they're wearing size 16. They are obese, according to Mary, based on their BMI, and they have diabetes. She says, I don't want this to happen to me. So Mary is a 47-year-old African-American. She is married. She's a busy businesswoman, and she's got no kids. So 9 years ago, When she was trying to get pregnant, Mary was diagnosed with prediabetes. That scared her a little bit, and she added walking to her life, and that actually has been able to kind of lower and control her hemoglobin A1C. So let me back up a little bit and discuss this hemoglobin A1C. You may or may not have heard about it. But A1C, I'm just going to short it to A1C, okay? It's very well known for that. It's a simple blood test that measures your average blood sugar levels over the past 3 months. And it's used to diagnose prediabetes and diabetes. So what is a normal kind of A1C, normal rate? A normal and healthy range for A1C is between a 4 and 5.6. And it's normally in a percentage. It is in a percentage that you read that on your labs. So a level between 5.7 and 6.4 are in the prediabetes range. And levels of 6.5 or higher mean that a person has diabetes. So blood sugar and insulin resistance are topics that I'm super passionate about it. And because it was part of my life for years and part of my health struggles as well. So keep listening because we're going to be diving into these babies quite often into this show over here. So let's get back to Mary's questions or question. Basically. So as you can imagine, the topic of disease prevention is complex and is unique. And that's because each one of us are unique. Our bodies operate differently. That's to say that what work for a friend of yours might not work for you. And people are always looking for that. Okay, what do you do? Let me do it too. You know, it's everywhere, right? One is strategy. And one even quick fix that you've been looking for might do you actually more harm in the long term than do you any good now. So let's take a look into Mary's health and lifestyle habits. So I went through several questions and she was awesome to answer them because this really gives a perspective for our show over here. So exercise. So she walks about, a mile or less. And she does that while she's walking the dog. And she does quite a bit after, dinner, which is nice. 4 times a week, she stands for a prolonged period of time. Not necessarily walking much, though, but she stands. There's something to say about standing up. Nutrition. Well, in her own words, I'm not really on it. I'm not really on it. She has no dietary restrictions. She eats whatever she wants. She thrives, though, to eat more vegetables on a daily basis, but she struggles making that happen every day. She's more like a meat eater, chicken, fish, and she does pork and beef as well. She loves her beans as well. So for breakfast, it's really coffee with those sugary creams. Lunch is something small. She cooks, more in the wintertime. So once or twice a week, she brings leftovers from dinner for lunch. Otherwise, she eats from a local cafeteria, something simple and quick. She does not cook much for dinner during summer. She does more during the winter. So in the cases that she doesn't have food around because she doesn't cook much, in general, she's going to grab something quick to eat, something that is easy, or sometimes she eats out too. So other eating habits, the coffee with this sugar in it, it suppresses her appetite and she sips the coffee throughout the day. And that happens until gets to dinner. And she is basically starving at dinner time. She does not chew her food very well, of course. Why? Well, one is during lunch, she's pretty busy with her clients. And at night, she's just starving. She just swallowed the food. And I know I can relate that quite a bit. I'm much better now, but I still have some issues in that department, okay? She eats after work, her dinner around 8:30. She snacks after dinner as well. So some of her go-to snacks are cracker with cheese, tuna fish with cracker, trail mix, tortilla chips, deli meat wrapped in cheese, maybe some grapes, and some piece of apple here and there. And she loves having some ice cream after dinner too. Okay. Hydration. On her own words again, it is terrible, she says, Maria. She might drink about 32 ounces of water a day, maybe 32 ounces. However, she drinks 1 can of soda a day and sweet tea throughout the day. Yes, she's in the South. Sweet tea is a thing. If you haven't heard about it. I hate sweet tea personally. Anyway, it's not about me, it's about her. She also sips on that coffee, like I said, with that creamer throughout the day. So that helps suppress and curb her hunger until night. Her sleep, well, she goes to bed around 12:30, 1 o'clock, and she sleeps with her phone on her pillow. Many times she wakes up tired because she doesn't sleep well. The sleep is kind of on and off because she's got some insomnia once in a while. She gets an average of 5 hours of sleep. She never gets 8 hours of sleep, according to her. If she goes to bed early and she wakes up in the middle of the night, let's say 2:30, 3 o'clock, she tries to fall back to sleep. She tries to be a good girl. And if she's laying down there for about 35 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, and no sleep, she gets up, watch some TV, and you know what? Goes to work, right? I mean, she doesn't go necessarily out of the house for work. She gets her laptop and do some work. And stress level. On a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 is crazy, stupid, stressful, she's a 5. That's pretty good, actually. Sure, she says there are some days that her life, gets a little out of whack. Things happen and it's super stressful. But on average, she's a level 5, a 5. And that is really good, folks. Really, really good. Fun. Well, she loves to have some fun. And she is actually a pretty happy overall person. She got 2 thumbs up for that. I've known her for many years, not like we are, great friends that we go out to celebrate stuff, but I know what goes on to her life, and I've never heard her complain about stuff. She's got a pretty good attitude, actually. So I'm discovering a lot of her lifestyles during this conversation I had with her. So now let's move on to the last item, toxicity. So due to her line of work, she's actually in touch with products that have loads of chemicals, and there is so much she can do to avoid them. And then that's her job. And that she can try here and there to minimize this, but she's always going to be in touch in some way or another. And then there is the worst of them all, which is smoking. Yes, she knows smoking is absolutely awful for her. She has tried to quit many times here and there, but she cannot get rid of this addiction. So during our conversation, I turned to her and I asked, do you have a sense of urgency to change? She looks at me and says, nope, I do not have a sense of urgency to change. Hello. Well, you want to join me next episode because we're going to dive deeper into these lifestyle choices of Mary's. And these lifestyle choices, I also call them pillars of health. And however, before you go, I got a couple things for you. One is, what is your A1C? Look into your labs. Don't know what it is? Look at it. Maybe your doctor has run it. Maybe not. I don't know. But, if you have some bad or unhealthy nutrition tracks over here, from the sugar to, a lot of simple carbs and all that, I highly recommend you run this A1C, okay? Next is, of course, you're going to grab your pen and paper. It's time to jot down your story, your choices. Pick one or even all of these areas that I touched upon today and, write things down. Write where you're at. So this area, just a refresher, is exercise, nutrition, hydration, eating habits, stress, sleep, fun, toxicity. These are all parts of pillars of health. In another time, I'll discuss more in depth what I mean with pillars of health in my practice. So if you like my guidance, in any of this, of course, book a call. Go to bfabbu.com and you can do that, or look at the show notes. You have the links to book this call. It's complimentary to you. And one last thing. If Mary's story resonates with somebody that please share this episode, because what we will continue to discuss here might be exactly what this person needs to hear to ignite change. And you want to be part of this person's progress. I want to be part as well, even if I never meet this person. That's my goal of this podcast, is to impact people's lives. Okay? So thanks for listening, and I talk to you soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the BFABU Made Simple podcast. Can you do me a favor? If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and leave it a rating. It helps the podcast, and I really appreciate it. If you're wondering where to start, head over to my website, linked in the show notes, to sign up to receive encouragement, tips, and strategies to maximize results. While you're there, download a free health guide to get you started today. If you're looking for a coach and trainer to help you optimize your weight, body, and health, get on my calendar. Let's discuss your goals, establish a custom plan, implement it, and celebrate your results. Together, we can do this. Find the link to schedule a free energy audit strategy session also in the show notes. Connect with me on social media. I would love for you to let me know that you're listening to the show. Also, see the show notes for the links. In addition to a qualified healthcare practitioner, it's important that you have someone in your corner who is in for you and will help you to plan and stay on track implementing your goals. Are you ready? Let's rock and roll this boat. I will see you on the next episode of BFABU Made Simple. Just a reminder that this podcast is for educational purposes only. This podcast is not a substitute for health care by a doctor or other qualified medical professionals. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services.